Hello, gentlemen, barbarians, savages. This is Rooster here. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something called shit tests. Now, shit tests are something that women do to assess the value of a male. Of a man. Specifically what they are, everybody has encountered them. Any man that's out there has encountered them. And they fall really into two different categories. And I'll talk about both of those categories. One is courting shit tests, and one is non-courting or non-romantic shit tests. Now, I'll talk about the easy one first, which is the non-romantic, non-courting ones. Basically, the idea behind the non-courting ones is women set you up into a situation which is kind of like the Star Trek Kobayashi Maru trial that Captain Kirk goes through. You know, he goes through this trial where there's a stranded spaceship on the other side of the neutral zone in Klingon space called the Kobayashi Maru, and he's on this side, and there's Klingon birds of prey coming down on this ship, and it's out of power, and it doesn't have any weapons. You know, it's just a passenger ship, and Captain Kirk has to make a choice to either cross the neutral zone and invade Klingon space to transport these people onto the ship and try to get out. But if he does that, it's going to create a war with the Klingons. And if he doesn't do it, the Klingon ships are going to get there and destroy the passenger ship anyways, and it may cause a war anyways. So what it's known as is the no-win situation, the Kobayashi Maru. And that's what a shit test is. It's a no-win situation, especially on the non-courting side of the gym, of the court, whatever. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about when you're dealing with women at doctor's offices, dentist offices, service offices, the post office, the grocery store, at work. You know, you have to deal with women in a non-romantic setting, and they're shit testing you. They put you in situations to set you up to fail, but there's no way to win, okay? And the simple, basic answer to this, especially in non-courting, non-romantic situations, is don't play. Just like Captain Kirk went in and reprogrammed the computer so that he could win, right? But you can't always do that, especially at work. Just don't play. And fundamentally, you can save yourself a lot of time and not even watch this video. And I would recommend, in all situations where you're being shit tested, just don't play. That's the very first thing that you should do. Now, I'm going to talk about times when you have to play, and tactics and strategies that you can use to actually kind of win the no-win situation, but it's hard. Your first instinct should always be to walk away and not play. You know, somebody asks you to do something at work, I can't do that. That's not my job. It's above my pay grade, or I don't know how to do that, or I don't see that as something that I have time to do, or whatever excuse you need to make. Just don't play, right? So let's talk about a little bit on the courting or the romantic side. In the bar, in the disco, on the dance floor. In this situation, you don't have to play. But if you want to get laid, like a lot of men want to get laid, you're going to have to play for a little while. There's no way around it. Because women get to make the choice of who has sex with them. Unless you're raping them, they get to make the choice. And unfortunately, in our society, they don't get the accountability, you know, but they do get to make the choice. So what they're assessing is three categories. when they're shit testing you at the bar. And here's a typical shit test. I'll give you 3 examples so you know exactly what I'm talking about at the bar. I don't date guys with little dicks. Oh, really? Why don't you get on your knees and we'll see who chokes first? That's the shit test. That's a reply. You go to take her out and you're driving your old beater and she says, what the hell are you driving this old beater for? This doesn't look like a very nice car. You say, oh, my Porsche is in the shop right now. It's getting fixed. If you're an older guy like me, hey, I don't date guys that are balding or losing their hair or whatever. You say, oh, it's just a sign of high testosterone. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, So these shit tests all have comebacks to them. But what she's assessing when she does these shit tests to you is one of 3 categories. Your dominance, and by dominance, she's determining whether you're an alpha or a beta. Okay? If you're a beta, and she's not looking for a beta, you're out the door. There's no way you're getting laid. If she's looking for an alpha, you got to have a snappy comeback. You got to be able to assert dominance and control the situation. Sometimes women are looking for betas. So, you can, it's iffy. There's about 3 days during the month where ovulating women will pick up betas because they'll pick up anything. They're like cats in heat. But you don't know their menstrual cycle, you're not going to know that. The second way is compliance. And what she's testing you for there is social controls. She wants to know if she takes you home, you're not going to rape her, you're not going to kill her, you're not going to murder her, you're not a psychopath. So dominance, compliance, and then the third way, which is really more of a test for betas, if she's looking for a beta orbiter, which she doesn't have. Most women have beta male orbiters. They have 3, 4, 5, or 6 of them that are always orbiting around that she can go to or whatever she needs. So it's rare that a woman will be out looking for a beta, but sometimes they are. And the third way is a fitness test, and they're really looking for a beta if they're looking for that. If they're looking for an alpha for a one-night stand, they don't really do fitness tests. But a fitness test is a shit test that tests the broadness of your capabilities. Are you right-brained and left-brained? Can you play guitar and do advanced math? Do you understand economics and also able to write poetry? Whatever. It's a fitness test for her. Now, and the other side of this is women are generally shallow. So not a lot of women use fitness tests. But it's testing you on if you have multi-subject mastery. And what you will see, though, is can you fix my car and my house? Can you fix my roof? Can you fix my hot water heater? Can you fix my refrigerator? They'll test your fitness on what you can fix around the house for them, or if you can fix their car, because that's something that they can perceive and use right away. And to go from this fitness test, if you are a beta, it's a good way to go. The two fitness models that you can follow are the self-made man model and the Renaissance man. If you're a Renaissance man, if you're good at a lot of different stuff, good at golf, good at guitar, well-educated, well-read, know all the classics, and understand philosophy and all that stuff, Renaissance men, women, sophisticated women do like that. But that's a beta development. And then the self-made man, if you're one of the guys that doesn't live with his mom, you left the house when you're 18, you've been on your own, you own your stuff, everything that you've done and own, you've done for yourself, they really like that. So, but that's a fitness model that's for betas. So that's the courting side and the non-courting side, and I gave you 3 really quick examples of what a shit test can be from in the bar and stuff like that. Now, let's talk about on the courting side, the 2 branches that come off from the courting side. There's the long-term relationship and the hookup culture. Now, I'm going to talk about the hookup culture really quick because I don't want this to be a PUA, pickup artist video or anything like that. There's plenty of those out there on the internet. If you want to figure out how to pick up women, figure out what your game is, what works best for you, go do that. That's not what this is. This is specifically about shit tests. If you're in the hookup culture and you want to get laid and you are needing that as a guy, if you're a MGTOW, I would recommend against it. And remember, I said at the very beginning of this, the first and very first thing you should do when you get shit tested is walk away. That is the absolute best strategy from the get-go. But if you can't, or you don't, or you're 22 years old and you need to freaking get laid a little bit in your life, you're going to have to put up with a shit test, especially on the hookup. And by the hookup, I mean one-night stands, weekends, stuff like that. Okay? You got to play. But the game, I can tell you the game is the same now as it was 30 years ago when I was 20. Now, the shit tests have changed a little bit. You know, as you go through your 20s to your 30s to your 40s into your 50s, you know, in your 20s, it's like, what's your major, what's your sign, kind of thing. And then, you know, in your 30s, it's like, what do you do for a living, what's your profession, what kind of car you got, stuff like that. And insults that are in that line and comebacks that you have to have, you know. And then you get over 45, you get to be my age, and, you know, it's like, how big is your 401k, you know? What part of town is your house in, you know? Oh, you don't live in that. You live on the other side of the tracks. It's like, well, you know, I got 3 houses. I just rent those ones over there. I'm not taking you to my real house. You know, there's always ways to flip it, amplify it, and turn it into your dominance. Okay. So, but the fundamental thing you need to understand, if you're gonna be a purple pill guy and you're gonna want to get laid every once in a while, you got to learn how to play the shit test and play it off and flip it, amplify and flip, right? Long-term relationship. This is the most important thing. This is the most important part that I want you to understand. If you're in a long-term relationship, it's been over 6 months. And long-term relationship, I'm talking about getting ready to move in together. You've been with her for over 6 months, or you're married. Okay? And I know this is a MGTOW thing, but there's guys out there that are married MGTOWs. I know it's kind of a contradiction in terms, but there are guys out there that are trying to go their own way within a marriage, and it's very hard to do. But if you are getting shit tests, and I can't emphasize this enough, if you are getting shit tested in a long-term relationship, and it doesn't fall into one of these 3 categories, the doghouse, the silent treatment, or sleeping on the couch kind of crap because you did something major and actually did a fuck up, you cheated on her, or you did something that is, grounds for divorce. So if it's not the doghouse, the silent treatment, or sleeping on the couch, if it's not one of those 3 categories, and you're getting constant shit tests every day, you can't even go get groceries, you can't pay the bills on your own, you can't pay the cable bill, you lose the clicker, I can't find your freaking lighter, blah blah blah. If you are constantly getting shit tested like that, you are with a psychopath. Get rid of her. Run away as fast as you can. Okay? Shit testing is an early relationship thing. If it has been more than 6 months and you are still getting shit tested every fucking day, if she is riding your ass and telling you that you can't do this and you can't do that and putting you in situations so that you can fail, she is not a good life partner. She is a psychopath. Get rid of her immediately. Okay? Now, I talked about, everybody knows what the doghouse is, everybody knows what the silent treatment is, and everybody knows what sleeping on the couch is, right? Don't do any of that stuff. I'm going to say this right now. If you're married or in a long-term relationship, living with someone, I can tell you in my life, I have slept on the couch exactly that many times in my entire life, and I've lived with a lot of women and been in long-term relationships 6, 7, 8 years long, and I have slept on the couch exactly that many times. And it comes right down to this. Look, this is my fucking house. This is my fucking bed. If you're pissed at me, I suggest you go find someplace else to be, because I'm not going anywhere. And you have to roost her. You have to be the fucking rooster. She's the hen. There is no fucking doghouse at my house unless you're in it. And the silent treatment, please. After you've been with someone for 3 or 4 years, please give me the silent treatment. Please. I would love to come home after work and have a couple beers and turn on ESPN and not hear your fucking voice and about how you hate the women at work. I would love that. Please give me the silent treatment. Can you make it last longer? How much longer can you make it last? Can you give me the silent treatment for another 30 days? Please? Yes. Okay? So be a man. If you're in an LTR, if you're living with someone or you're married, there shouldn't be any doghouse. You should never be sleeping on the freaking couch, especially if you're paying the freaking rent. And the silent treatment, who cares? Give me another beer. Silent treatment's great. So those are the 2 categories. Hookup culture, you got to play. LTR, if you are getting shit tested, run. Get out of there. And I told you the other 3 shit tests that are allowed, I would consider classically in the long-term relationship. Just, again, don't play. You don't even have to flip and amplify because she's there. You just say no. No. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to reemphasize this thing. The first strategy that you should always use with shit tests is just don't play at all. Okay? Now, I want to talk about something what I call the 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I touched on this a little bit in my hypergamy video, but there's something that you guys have to realize, and I'm going to say this very slowly. If you are getting shit tested, you are already non-selected. Okay? What does that mean? If you are getting shit tested, if you are feeling that game, you are a 7 or below, and she's trying to find a reason to make you an 8. She's playing with you like a little puppy to see if you are going to entertain her enough so that you become an 8 and she might take you home. And a guy told me this, a chief in the Navy told me this a long time ago, and I didn't really believe it until I kind of saw it in action. When a woman walks into a bar, that bar is very, very quiet inside her head. You know why? Because there's hardly anybody in that bar. That bar could have 100 men in it, but when she looks around, she hardly sees anything. She might see 1 or 2 guys. And the rest of those men who exist for you and me, and the bartender and the waitresses and all that stuff, they're not even there. They're not even on the radar for her. Okay? The only thing that exists for most women are 8s, 9s, and 10s. And you say, well, I'll put on a colorful shirt, and I'll play hard to get over here in the corner, and I'll drink my beer cool and all this stuff. She's not seeing it. She doesn't care. She doesn't see it. When she walks in that bar, she sees the 8s, 9s, and 10s. She sees the owner of the bar, probably. the front man for the band, maybe the lead guitarist or the DJ, and if the bartender's good looking, the bartender. That's all she sees in there. She doesn't even see you. She doesn't even want to have anything to do with you, believe me. And I didn't believe that for a long time. But later on in my life, I realized it is absolutely true. Now, here's something that you have to know about 8s, 9s, and 10s. And it's going to throw you for a complete loop. But shit tests and all of this stuff that I just said to you, those don't exist for men that are 8s, 9s, and 10s. They don't get shit tests. And how do I know this? I know this from personal experience. Was I a 10? No. Was I a 9? No. But there was a period in my life between about 27 and 33 where I was a solid 8. An 8.2, maybe. Rich. Had my own stuff. $1,500 suits. $500 shoes. Living good. Gold everywhere. Was driving a BMW Z3. Great freaking life. Loved it. Would never go back to it. Like my life now much more. But I'm telling you, I was not shit tested during those 6 years. Pussy was getting thrown at me like frisbees. You don't have to call. You don't have to ask. You don't have to request it. There is no begging. There is no nothing. They are there to service you. And they are happy to do it. I had women knocking on my door at 6:30 in the morning before work to come into my hotel room and take care of me sexually and then leave. Nothing else. No beers, no drinks, no shit tests, no questions, no nothing. Okay? Always had sex on the first date. You know, you see these things. I'm not just in it for sex. I don't, if you just want to hook up, don't call me because I'm not just in it for sex. Bullshit. I know better. I can tell you 5 years straight, every date I went on, I had sex on the first date. And you always get the question, oh, did you think that this would happen? No, I didn't think it would happen. Bullshit, I knew it was going to happen. And, without any questions, without any vetting, no shit tests, no nothing. Complete sex without asking. And I'll give you another example that's not in my life, but someone that I knew. He was a male stripper. Okay? He was a 10. Okay, this is the experience from an 8. Okay? I imagine that someone who's a 9 or was an 8. I'm not saying I'm an 8 now. I'm about a 6.5 now. But this is my impression from an 8. Okay? I imagine a 9 is an order of magnitude better. You probably have 10 women on you all the time, bothering you, wanting to take you to lunch, wanting you to do this, wanting you to do that. And I imagine if you're a 10, which is like a Justin Bieber or a freaking Brad Pitt or something like that, there's just mobs of them. And it's like a harem. They are there to serve you. The role is completely reversed. Instead of you being there to serve them, they're there to serve you, and they're happy to do it because you are a freaking 8, 9, or a 10. And they want the lottery. I can't imagine what it's like for famous football players or basketball players. How can you blame Kobe Bryant? How can you blame freaking Ben Roethlisberger? When every city that you go into, you can't even get a good night's sleep because 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, they find out where your hotel is and they're knocking on your door wanting to come in to have sex with you, exclusively to have sex with you. I can't even imagine what it's like. But that's something that you need to understand. If you're an 8, 9, or 10, you're probably not watching this video. Because if you want to find out about shit tests, you're probably getting shit tested, which means you're a 7 or below. Okay? But the thing to keep in mind is if you are getting shit tested, you already don't exist. You are one of the ghost people that just, come into her aura and hey, can I get you a beer? And she says, whatever, you really don't exist. So there's no shit test. But let me tell you about this guy that I knew who was a male stripper. He was a 10, had a mansion, had a Porsche, had a pool out in the back. He was an awesome dude from a guy standpoint too. He was fun to hang out with. Always paid for everything. Always had all the money. You have pizza parties, beer parties, drinking parties, boxing parties at his house. But this is the most amazing thing. Okay, he had at least 10 girlfriends. Okay, he had 3 women that lived with him in the same house as him. Okay, he was banging all 3 of them, and all 3 of them knew about it, and none of them cared. Hypergamy didn't care. And I'm sitting in the pool one day talking to one of the girls, and I'm like, what do you guys? Oh, he's hot, man. He's just the best thing since sliced ham. I don't care who else is banging him, as long as I get mine. As long as I get my time with him, I'm happy. And I just thought to myself, holy shit, talk about role reversal. I mean, it's completely freaking different. For a man who's a 10, the world is upside down for the rest of it than it is for the rest of us. So, my whole point to those stories are, and from my personal experiences, you have to understand that if you're getting shit tested, it's because you're a 7 or below. And the whole idea of overcoming shit tests and the whole idea of the pickup artist thing is to inflate yourself temporarily so that you can become an 8 or a 9 in her view, so that you can get laid. That really is the whole idea behind coming back to these in the hookup culture, and the thing is projecting yourself or inflating yourself to become an 8. And that's why it doesn't work long term, because long term, she moves in and she's going to figure out you're a 6. Right? So, what do we do about all of this stuff? Well, as I said at the beginning, the best thing to do is to just walk away and not play. But if you're going to try to get laid, you have to play. Okay? Now, solutions. You say, okay, how do I walk away? My favorite game is a game when it's time to stand up to the shit test. I play a game called Oh, You Thought This Was Baseball. And I'm going to say that again. I want everybody that's watching this video to remember this and learn this game, because it is effective and it is perfect. Oh, you thought this was baseball. Okay? What is Oh, you thought this was baseball? Oh, you thought this was baseball is you're going along, you're with a girl, blah, 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 blah. Everything's along, you're hanging out 3-4 days, whatever, and all of a sudden the shit tests start coming. Flakes on a date. Says she can't show up. Says, she has to wash her hair. Does whatever. Or, just is being shitty to you. Okay? You don't do anything. You don't respond. You don't do anything. And when she contacts you with, a week later with the, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Haven't heard from you in a week or whatever. You just simply say this. Oh, you thought we were playing baseball. You thought this was baseball. And she'll inevitably say, what do you mean? I said, oh, you thought you had 3 strikes. You only get 1 strike with me, sweetie. And that's it. That's all you ever have to say. And she will know immediately what she did, because it is the prior event, and they're not so stupid that they can't realize that what they did exactly prior to this happening to them is what's causing it. And 3 things come out of this, okay? The reason I love this game, and then after that you're ghosting her. And ghosting her is a new thing. They didn't used to have ghosting, back in the old days, but it's a new social media thing where you kind of just disappear from their life and you never go back again. But Oh, You Thought This Was Baseball does 3 really good things. One, it indicates immediately their unacceptable behavior. And it lets them know that it's an error. Everybody understands game theory. And everybody understands what a strike is. And a strike is when you swing as hard as you can and you miss. And her behavior that she's going to correspond with that error is her behavior. Whatever she did, whatever that shit test was, is unacceptable behavior. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? Okay? Shit tests are basically 3-card Monte, and they need a mark. Okay? If you're a hustler and you're doing 3-card Monte, first day, nobody plays. Second day, nobody plays. Third day, nobody plays. There are no marks out there. After a while, your hustle doesn't work because you're not making any money. Right? It's the same thing with this. When you play this, oh, you thought it was baseball. If every single man in the world learned how to play, oh, you thought this was baseball, there would be no, they're not allowing themselves to be marks. There'd be no women out there that could shit test you because there's no benefit for them. They don't get anything out of it. When you cut them off after the first time, they don't get any benefit out of it. And they understand their behavior as an error. Okay? The second thing it does is it establishes your dominance, and by proving to them that it was your game all along, not her game. She wasn't gaming you. You were gaming her. She's actually the mark. Now, is there any losses for her? No. There's really no losses for her, but still, she doesn't get anything out of it either. Okay? And the third most important thing about this is they understand that they lose, and they also lose social standing. Now, and we all know, based on the prior videos that I've done, that women cannot stand to lose social standing. If it's in a text, if it's in a call, they don't lose that much social standing. But if you do this in public, oh, you thought this was baseball? In a public setting, they lose social standing big time. Okay? If their friends are around, if their parents are around, they lose social standing and they can't handle that. So 3 things. Indicates unacceptable behavior. Second thing is establishes your dominance of your game. And the third thing is they lose social standing. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about me where I played this, oh, you thought this was baseball game, perfectly. And it worked implicitly, right? I went on a date with this chick. She was beautiful, about 5'4", 110 pounds, gorgeous chick. And we're on a date, we're drinking, we're at a steak place. I picked out a nice steak place to go, get a pitcher of beer and all of this stuff. And about 5 minutes into the date, she gets out her phone and starts texting and laughing, and I'm trying to have a conversation with her. And I said, what are you doing? Do you want to be on a date with that guy you're talking to on the phone, or do you want to be on a date with the guy who's paying for your dinner right now? And she's just like, oh, this will just take a minute, don't worry about it. Okay? That was a shit test. She was testing my dominance. She was testing my compliance to social norms, which is unacceptable behavior to me. And she wasn't really testing my fitness. But I showed her dominance. This is what I did. I grabbed the beer. I grabbed my glass. Didn't touch her steak or her glass or anything like that. Grabbed my steak, the A1, went up, sat at the bar. And I made sure I sat in a stool between 2 other guys on either side of me with the hockey game right up in front of me. And I just sat there, and I didn't say anything to her. I never went back to the table. I never did anything. And about 3 minutes later, I feel this little tap on my shoulder. She says, what are you doing? And then what did I say? Oh, you thought this was baseball. She's like, what do you mean I thought this was baseball? And, well, in baseball you get 3 strikes. But when you're out on a date with me, you only get 1 strike, bitch. And I just went back and took a big old drink out of my beer. And that's all that needed to be said. She freaking understood. And the 2 guys on either side of me were just like, they were just cracking up. And, then later on, it got even better. I found out that This was her town. I drove to her town to go on a date, so these people around there all knew her, right? And the waitress comes over to me at the end and says, you know, hey, she gives me the bill, right? And I paid for my pitcher of beer, and I paid for my steak and all that stuff. I said, what's this on here? She says, oh, that's for her. I said, I'm not paying for her. I'm not with her. She says, well, you ordered with her. He says, yeah, but she's going to pay for her own. And she did. I didn't pay for nothing. I didn't lose out anything. I got drunk. I watched the hockey game. I met 2 new really cool guys. And I never looked back and never asked anything about that chick again. Okay? She thought she was playing baseball. She thought she had 3 strikes. She was wrong. So, that's my video about shit tests. And I'll do a quick summary, you know. You got courting, non-courting. Courting, you got dominance, compliance, and fitness. Under non-courting things, they're going to try to get you in Kobayashi Maru situation, which is a no-win situation. Work or whatever. Don't play. Okay? Biggest thing to realize, if you are being shit tested, it's because you are a 7 or below. 8s, 9s, and 10s do not get shit tested, ever. You got the hookup and you got the long term. If you're in the hookup, you got to play. You got to have some game. You got to have the quick comebacks if you want to get laid. If you're in a long-term relationship and you're getting shit tested, get the fuck out. Get away. That bitch is a psychopath. Okay? After 6 months, if you're still getting shit tested, you got to get out of there. Okay? And then, the best thing, every single man needs to learn the game. Oh, you thought this was baseball. Okay? That's all I got. And as always, take it easy.